Tennessee This Week from WATE's 6 on Your Side starts now.
The first class of Tennessee Promise students will be graduating soon. We're learning about an effort to keep them going in higher education. And a step closer to the gas tax for Tennessee with a crucial vote. Will lawmakers sign off on a measure causing Tennesseans to pay more at the pump? And President Trump proposing a shift in the federal budget. Some nonprofits worrying about feeling the pinch. All of this coming up on Tennessee This Week. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Tennessee This Week. I'm Ryan O'Donnell. Governor Bill Haslam has been making a major push on education in Tennessee, stressing the need for people to get their degrees beyond a high school diploma. For the last 2 years, the Tennessee Promise program has been sending students to community colleges tuition-free, and Governor Haslam is working to give that same opportunity to adults. Well, joining me today is Dr. Kimberly Estep, a Chancellor of WGU Tennessee, an online university that's making a pitch to that first class of Tennessee Promise students about to graduate. But before I get into all of that, Dr. Estep, I'd like you to explain what WGU is initially for everybody.
Well, WGU, or Western Governors University, was founded 20 years ago in 1997 by a group of governors, and it was designed to help provide opportunities for working adults to come back to school and finish bachelor's degrees and master's degrees in key workforce areas, and in a way to do this that would not further tax their state resources.
Right, because that's one of the main reasons why a lot of adults don't come back to education, because they go, well, I can't. I've got a family now. Right. I've got bills. Just life is different than when I graduated high school. Right. Cost and time are the primary factors that adults face when they're trying to balance going to school with working, with raising children in many cases, and with all the other responsibilities they have in their community. So you're launching an initiative here called Fulfilling the Promise. 20 scholarships worth $2,000 each, and the discounts for all spring and summer community college graduates who enroll. Why is it important for WGU Tennessee to actually reach out to this specific group of people out there to get them back into school? Well, we were the first of Governor Haslam's Drive to 55 initiatives. So one of the things we do is we look at all of his Drive to 55 initiatives and say, how can we help? So my staff and I were looking several months ago and said, well, that first class of Tennessee Promise students will be graduating starting this May. Right. Some of them will go on to a traditional four-year institution. They may live on campus. They may have that traditional college experience. Others of them, though, already might be parents. They might be working full-time or will be working full-time shortly after graduation. So we thought our programs, which are designed for working adults, they're flexible, they're affordable, they only cost $6,000 a year, would be great for some of those students who were not planning to do a traditional brick and mortar institution after graduation, or for whatever reason could not do that. Well, when adults sign up for this, I mean, is it very strict as to what time the classes are? Is it something where you sit down in front of a computer and you watch a teacher, professor, give a lesson? Is it structured just like that? It can be, but it is not required for them to sit down and watch an instructor or a course mentor, we call those types of faculty, give a lesson, say on Thursday night at 6 o'clock. They actually can watch that anytime, or they can delve into the resources that are embedded in every single class, and they can read books, they can listen to podcasts, do quizzes, and they can do it while their kids are studying for their homework. They can do it early in the morning before the rest of the family gets up. They have a faculty mentor who they speak with weekly, and they schedule that call mutually with the faculty mentor, and it can be really at any time that mentor is working. And then beyond that, their time is their own. What happens if one of the students starts falling behind? Maybe their job sends them out of town for a week or 2 weeks, or just in a place where they just don't have access to the computer where they can keep up on their studies. How is it flexible in that? Absolutely. That's a great question, because especially for adults, that happens all the time. Someone's child gets sick, someone's job sends them out of state for a week or two. And in many cases, if they're in a traditional semester-based program, if they lose a week or 2 weeks, they're done and they have to withdraw. Therefore, they lose all that they've invested of their time and money in that semester and have to do it all over again. So it can be really disconcerting for adults that are trying to balance. But our programs are geared to the student, and the student has 6 months in each term to complete as many courses
as they can, and they can do them in any order, you know, in any reasonable order. And so they can address those courses one at a time. They might work on more than one course at a time, but it's really individualized so that they work with their mentor to decide what the right pacing is for each course. And if they have to take a week or two, right. If they have to take a week or two away, their mentor still calls them and checks in and says, are you ready to re-engage? Are you ready to come back? Because they've got 6 months. And so having that longer time frame and having the flexibility to work with their faculty mentor allows those things that happen in life not to derail their academic progress.
Right. What about, you know, a huge focus for adults, of course, going after more education is getting a job or getting a better job within maybe the job frame that they're already in. Some places they just want to know if you have a degree. For other jobs, you actually need to have very specific knowledge, maybe some hands-on knowledge about things. How does that work if it's something that needs a little more of the hands-on approach?
Right, and we do have programs where students have to have a hands-on approach. Example would be our teacher licensure programs. So those students that want to become a licensed teacher, and sometimes they may be maybe a mom who was home with her kids until she got to be in her mid-30s, and her kids get older and she says, hey, I want to go back to school and be a teacher. That happens. And in that case, she would be able to do all of her coursework online, working one-on-one with her mentor, but she would still have to go into the school system and do her student teaching, just as any other licensed teacher would. But we facilitate that. We provide a local observer to go in and supervise that student teacher and make sure that she gets all of the boxes checked on what she needs to do to get state licensure.
Outside of being a teacher, can you think of any other programs that might offer something like that?
Well, our nursing programs also, and we don't offer nursing programs unless they already have the RN. So we work closely with our community college partners who have RN students graduating each May, and some of them have more than one graduating class a year. Many of those students choose an associate level program because they need to go into the workforce quickly. But then they are often told when they take that first job that there's a time frame in which they're expected to receive their bachelor's degree. So they're then going to be juggling a new job and all that entails with going back to school. And so we allow them to do much of their follow-up clinical work at their employer, and the idea is they can do a lot of that work that they need to do in a hands-on environment where they work, as opposed to having that be a separate requirement.
Well, I think a lot of parents out there, adults who are trying to work in this higher education, I think this sounds like a fantastic program. The question that I think a lot of them might have is, does a degree from WGU Tennessee carry the same weight with potential employers from any other college campus out there, from a University of Tennessee, from a Vanderbilt, places like that?
Absolutely. Well, we actually do a lot of studying within the university. We have a Harris poll that's conducted every other year of all of our employees to gauge their satisfaction. And in fact, just about 2 weeks ago, Gallup released our results from a survey they do of multiple institutions a year to determine graduate well-being and how well they're able to translate their education into a job. And we find that almost 90% of our graduates are working in the field when we measure them 3 years out and 5 years out, which is much higher even than traditional institutions. It helps that when they come to us, they typically have experience in the field, because it's that powerful connection of education and experience that meets what employers are wanting to have. So our students do very well. We have lots of employer partners like HCA and CHS and some of the larger health systems that recognize WGU and encourage their students to utilize us to go and finish their degrees because they know how flexible we are. They also know that employers are at the table and help build the degree programs with us. So when we create a degree program, it's not just our faculty working on it, it's also we bring employers in from around the country to say, what do you want your employees to be able to do? Which is, I think, a very employer-centric focus.
And so you rely on the students themselves to actually do the things that you're teaching online to everybody through the program.
Absolutely. The students often will do papers and projects, and they'll do quality enhancement projects in their workplace, and they find that in many cases they can do that as an academic exercise. Then they can implement that in the workforce, and that's where it gets really powerful. So if you've got a student, maybe a student getting a master's degree in nursing, who's able to do a project where they can implement that with their team, as well as using it as an academic exercise, they've really gotten both an educational benefit from that project as well as a benefit to the employer for that project.
WGU Tennessee. How can people find out more information about it? What's the website?
tennessee.wgu.edu. If they go to our website, they can find out about scholarships, they can find out about admissions. We do offer 4 programs. We offer nursing, business, IT, and teacher education. Very workforce-oriented programs.
Fantastic. Dr. Estep, thank you very much.
Thanks
I appreciate
for having
it.
me.
Yeah, thanks for talking about the program with us.
Anytime.